right, Sunday night edition of the wrap-up show, still without Jim, although Jim's back from Europe and the Padres lose, so do your own deductions whose fault was today. Jim will be back presumably tomorrow night on the wrap-up show. We'll see about John and Jim. He's back from Europe, but you know Jim, he's so soft. Oh, I've been up for 24 hours. Oh, I've had the longest travel day. So we'll see, but draw your own conclusions. The Padres lose basically a 1 in a million occurrence, 1 in 100,000 type occurrence that played out is what separates the Padres from an 8-game winning streak. And what happened here tonight, they have their 7-game winning streak snapped. They still go 5-1 on the road trip. They're playing some excellent baseball. I mean, specifically offensively. And they're heading home now to take on Pittsburgh back at Petco Park with Joe Musgrove making the start on Monday for the Padres. So should be a good edition of the wrap-up show. Still a very good road trip. We'll get into what played out there in the ninth inning with 2 outs. Ha-Seong Kim at the plate. We can spend as much time on it as you want. And please subscribe. We're going to get to 6,800 subscribers, hopefully with your help tonight. So let's keep this momentum going. Padres have played well. You've been here. This is just a small blip, hopefully, overall. They've won 7 of 8. They're the hottest team in baseball still since the All-Star break. They do lose today in Miami 7-6. So as you make your way and subscribe, year-round content for Padres fans, the home of real Padres talk. Smash the like button for me if you wouldn't mind. Follow me on X at John Schaefer, JONSCHAEFFER. If you want to make sure I see your comment or react to it, or you just want to support our channel and our work, you want to control the direction of the conversation, click the $ below the chat box. We'll get to every single super chat here tonight. You guys have been great with them, so let's keep them coming. Click that $ below the chat box, and we can react to everything that's played out this weekend in the second half, in the National League West, in the postseason race as well. And if you want to become a member, a number of you here are members. You can click that join button down below. You get custom emojis and badges. But again, the Padres had a 7-game win streak, and they nearly stretched it to 8, if not for basically an obscure rule, essentially, and not even necessarily something in the rule book, but something like the umpire's manual, which I guess is the rule book. Let me take you through how I went through this moment. In the ninth inning, as the Padres lose 7-6, Ha-Seong Kim apparently homers, right? Ball hit out to left, hits off the wall, and then caroms over the wall. In real time, you're like, it's a home run, right? He rounds the bases. They're celebrating. There's a crew chief review. I thought it was a formality. Maybe they were looking for, fan interference, or did the ball go through the wall or over it? But when I was listening to this moment, of course, I've watched it back 100 times. To kind of see exactly what transpired. So I'm listening to Jesse Agler describe this play, and I'm hearing that Ha-Seong Kim has tied the score. I'm assuming the game is tied up. But then I hear from Scans and Agler the way they're describing it. And they said, it hit the wall and then hit the fielder and then went over the wall. And I got concerned because maybe some of you are aware of this. I worked in minor league baseball, and yes, it is obscure, but I'm aware of the following, which is if a ball hits a wall, then basically all bets are off at that point unless it directly caroms over the wall. But once the ball took an additional deflection, like it deflected in, then anything that a fielder does cannot result in a home run. It's kind of like the ball's already hit the ground once it's hit the wall if it doesn't go over the wall. So I knew that kind of going in. I'm hearing this description, I'm like, oh no, please no. Because they're telling me this thing's a home run, it's going to be a formality. And I hear the description like it hit the wall, then hit the fielder. I'm like, oh no, not the wall, then the fielder. That's like the worst possible scenario. Now, again, if the ball continues to carom over the wall and doesn't change direction and hits the fielder like off the wall and the fielder at the same time, then goes over the wall, it's a home run. I mean, we're talking about formalities here. And at the end of the day, here's my thought on this. I don't care what the letter of the rule is. We all watch this in real time. The ball goes over the wall. It's a bang, bang play. It's a 1 in 100,000 moment. This is why a lot of people that aren't baseball fans, like everyone here, kind of sometimes poo-poo baseball, because this is so obscure. Like, you watch this play out in real time. There's a home run, right? I mean, the ball goes over the wall. It didn't hit the ground. And it was a bang-bang play between the wall and the fielder. Again, I think by the letter of the rule, they probably got it right. Mike Schultz said this postgame. He said that they got it right by the letter of the rule. He said he didn't get an explanation, but he thought that they got it right. I think by the letter of the rule, they probably got it right. I think the rule's stupid. I really do. I mean, give me a break. Like, the ball hits the wall and caroms off the fielder's glove, and that's not a home run. Like, in what world is that not a home run? Like, when you think about it, like, you just use your eyes and your ears and your 2 cents, and like, you just walk your way through this and talk your way through this. And you're like, this should be a home run. I mean, whether it works to the Padres' advantage or not, it just like if it looks like a home run and reacts like a home run, it's a home run, right? Like you get my point. So I mean, you talk about a bad break in a road trip that had a million good breaks for the Padres. Everything went their way, right? They're winning extra inning games. They're overcoming deficits. They're coming up with the biggest hits of their season right now. Jackson Merrill's on a complete binge, right? I mean, everything's gone right. They found ways to win all week long, starting in Pittsburgh. Dylan Cease going just an inning. They win that game. We've all lived through it. They come back from 7-3 down yesterday. Jackson Merill hits the 2-run home run. They find a way to win it yesterday as well. Like everything's going right. You're thinking, wow, this is unbelievable. I mean, you're thinking it's truly a team of destiny. I was when I was listening in the ninth inning there. I'm like, this is unbelievable. Ha-Seong Kim, of all people, who I think had 3 strikeouts in the game, hadn't homered in forever, rips the ball over the left field wall. You're like, this team just will not be denied. And they are like the cardiac Padres, and they're doing everything in 8th, 9th, and 10th innings. And they just won't be denied. Even today, they trailed all day long. They kept coming back. And then it took basically an act of an umpire or a crew chief review in New York City for them to prevent the Padres from potentially winning an 8th consecutive game. And by the way, if they tie this game up, they win this game. Nobody would ever question that, right? We all agree. If they tie this game up, they will win this game. Like they win every game that they tie up late. They're the best extra innings team in baseball. They've become one of the better one-run teams in baseball. They're as good as anyone at overcoming multiple run deficits this year. They came all the way back today from 5 runs down to within a hair of tying the score there in the 9th inning. So we'll get to all the super chats. That's kind of my 2 cents reaction. Again, if you want to, like the letter of the law, it's like if you're going 66 and a 65, you're speeding, but it's not. But it's not. I mean, let's be honest. It's not speeding if you're going 66 and a 65. And if Ha-Seong Kim hits a ball over the wall, the caroms off the wall and hits a fielder's glove, it's just a home run. Even if it's not, it just is, because we've watched baseball long enough to know that that should be a home run. So that's kind of my 2 cents on it. And listen, we can argue until we're blue in the face on it. I think in the grand scheme, it doesn't change anything about their trajectory. So let's remind ourselves of that. Yeah, I know the Dodgers swept the Pirates, but maybe that's not a bad thing. The Pirates are completely reeling right now. Maybe the Padres can do the same thing to Pittsburgh here coming up this week, win at minimum 2 out of 3. I think that's your hope heading into this. The division is still up for grabs. The Padres are still very well positioned in the wild card race, and they're still playing really good baseball. Now, their bullpen's taxed. Dylan Cease, I was fearful of this when he went just an inning 5 days ago. I thought he was kind of like poked and prodded a little bit to death, so to speak. Like it wasn't a ton of hard contact when you watch back his outing. He threw a lot of pitches, specifically early. He was done in by his defense in the 2nd inning. There was some awful defense. Ha-Seong Kim, Luis Arraez. I mean, just some terrible defense. And BABIP, batting average on balls in play. Some balls found holes, specifically in that 1st inning. So it wasn't vintage Dylan Cease, what we've seen in the 2nd half. And again, I think you're fearful of that when you mess with someone's routine. That was my biggest concern with the rain delay in Pittsburgh. They should have never started that game. I hope that doesn't get him off course. Hopefully he gets quickly back on course. It wasn't the worst outing of his career. Again, defense did him in, was able to get through 5 innings. Yes, he allowed 5 runs. But the way he had been pitching in the 2nd half, I think you hope it's just a blip. It's an aberration, and you move forward and he pitches effectively, hopefully, the next time he's out. All right, let's get to these super chats. Again, if you're here, subscribe. A couple 100 people are here live right now. We'll have thousands watching live or on replay over the next 24 hours. So please subscribe. Year-on content for Padres fans. Smash the like button for me. Follow me on X. And thank you for the super chats. We'll get to all of them here tonight. Click the $ below the chat box. Great way to support the channel and a great way to control the direction of the conversation. If you got a question, comment, whatever it is, click that $ below the chat box. JD Gacho, appreciate your support of the channel. He says Dodgers swept the Pirates, but River Ryan out for the year. Yeah, I don't know the impact of that, to be honest with you, but Dodgers have dealt with injuries like the Padres obviously have dealt with injuries here in the 2nd half of the season. Padres are getting healthier. Dodgers may be getting healthier as well here in August and September. Dodgers have not played nearly as well as the Padres in the 2nd half. Yes, they did just sweep the Pirates at home. I think they had a walk-off to do it here on this Sunday afternoon. I'm not overly concerned about the gap in the NL West because I think the Padres are still playing some of the best baseball in the majors right now, and I know it can be overcome. So I'm not worried about dropping from 2.5 to 3.5 back. I'm really not. Would I worry if it gets to 5.5, 6.5? Yeah, okay. But it's not. It's 3.5 games. Nothing really changed over the weekend. 1 game. And the Padres had been gaining a number of games. They were as far as 10 back. So to go from 10 to 3.5, I think is good perspective. Yeah, they pulled to as close as 2.5 games, but 3.5 is still there. We still have more than a quarter of the season to play here in 2024. So I like where the Padres are. As we've said repeatedly on the show, we can't guarantee that they're tracking anyone down, but they've put themselves in a position where it's not outside the realm of possibility at all for San Diego to track down Los Angeles here in 2024. Retod, thank you, man. He says, this is very funny. Thank you for the generous super chat, Retod. He says, send Merill to El Paso. No ninth inning home run. Well, he didn't bat in the ninth. To the best of my – no, he did. He led off the ninth inning in a one-run game, and he flied out. That's right. I was thinking about his eighth inning home run yesterday, the 2-run shot in the eighth inning, which gave him now 5 game-tying or go-ahead home runs in the eighth inning or later this year. Obviously the most in Major League Baseball, one of the highest totals in the history of Major League Baseball in a season. Obviously, we joke. I mean, Merill has been like a superhero, obviously, for this team in 2024 with all the clutch hits and the heroics. Really, you look at what he's done really from June on. The power surge in June, the clutch hitting in July, now into early August. He's been a complete godsend, obviously, for the Padres. Hopefully continues. The thing is, nobody can come through all the time. We were a witness to one of the great hitters in the history of the sport, and Tony Gwynn. And even Tony Gwynn wasn't reaching base safely half the time in his career. So he was out more than safe. Even when you looked at his career on base percentage, right? More than 50% of the time, Tony Gwynn wasn't reaching base safely, which is crazy to think about when you think about how damn good he was. And how capable he was as a hitter. So Jackson Merill can't always come through. We get it. It's not possible. Just like Steph Curry can't hit every single three-pointer, right? It just doesn't work like that. But Merill is like, I mean, he's carrying this team. If you think about it, he's not the only one. The team's played really well, and they're getting contributions everywhere. David Peralta, Luis Arraez the last couple of days. I mean, they're getting contributions everywhere, but they're being led by a 21-year-old, which is an amazing thing to think about. A guy that we didn't even know if he'd be on the Major League roster heading into the offseason before 2024. We didn't know what position he'd be playing. And not only did he make the Major League roster, he was starting opening day. I mean, a year ago, you had Trent Grisham in center field. And this year, you've got not just a Rookie of the Year candidate, you've got like a legit outside MVP candidate. That's probably a stretch, but he's put together, I don't know, a top 15 season in the National League. I think that's realistic, and I think that's reasonable. And he's been the best rookie in the National League. You know, I've argued that case here a lot over the last, 10 days or so, and I truly believe it. And I'm going to continue to argue that case because I think he's more deserving of that award as we sit here today than Paul Skeens for all the reasons that we've discussed in the days and weeks leading up to tonight's wrap-up show. So if it happens, I don't know. Do I think that Paul Skeens winning it is a formality? I don't. Do I think it is still like a coin flip or 50-50? Probably not yet. I think Skeens is still the front runner, but plenty of time left is what I would say. We still have over a quarter of the season. I think Merill is beginning to reach the national level of conversation, and I think that's good for his cause in terms of winning the Rookie of the Year. Now, he told Kevin Acee, I think last night or heading into today, Kevin published something today. I think his exact quote was, "I don't give a shit about winning the Rookie of the Year," which I kind of like that attitude. The guy just wants to win. That's the point. It's not about not winning Rookie of the Year. It's about winning. If you win Rookie of the Year and you win in the postseason, great. But I think his primary concern is leading this team to the postseason and then hopefully winning once they get into the postseason as well. All right, Evan, appreciate your super chat, guys. Please subscribe. We'd love to get to 6,800 subscribers here tonight with your help. So please subscribe, the home of real Padres talk. And Jim will be back tomorrow night on the wrap-up show, by the way. And also, thank you for the super chats. Like Evan, just click that $ below the chat box. He says, brutal way to lose, but one of the most insane stretches I can remember. D-backs taking 3 of 4 from the Phillies. What are your thoughts on the Snakes? I think they're very dangerous. And that's why we've been saying here recently, whether it's John and Jim, weekdays 3 to 6, San Diego Sports 760, or here on the wrap-up show, that truthfully, I wouldn't be surprised if any of San Diego, Arizona, or LA won the NL West. I wouldn't. I think the Padres and Diamondbacks, and someone correct me if I'm wrong, there might be a half-game difference, but I want to say they have identical records in the second half, or the same number of losses, or the same number of wins. They're within a half game of each other. That's amazing because San Diego has been so incredible coming out of the All-Star break, but Arizona has not skipped a beat either, and it's neck and neck, right, between the Diamondbacks and the Padres both 3.5 games back. And then, of course, LA, 20 games over 500, sweeping the Pirates, but only 3.5 games better right now than both the Padres and the Diamondbacks. In terms of the Padres stretch, it's insane. I mean, they were 16-2 over an 18-game stretch for the first time in franchise history heading into today. Like, think about that. For the first time in franchise history, not 84, not 96, not 98, not some of the good runs to start like 2021, 2022. Like, name a year. Like, go back to your Padres fandom when you were younger. Name that special year, that special team. None of them went 16-2 over an 18-game stretch. Again, that doesn't mean they're going to the World Series like 98 or 84, but I mean, this is Shildt season, as we've talked about. Mike Shildt has had some really good teams in second halves. He had a team that went 17-1 over an 18-game stretch of the Cardinals, right? Which is the only team in the last like decade to be better than 16-2 over a stretch. That was that Cardinal team that went 17-1 whenever Shildt was managing them a handful of years ago. So, you know, it has been insane. To Evan's point, I mean, this is utter insanity what the Padres have done here, even with today. It's been insanity. And the good news is, yeah, Arizona isn't going away, but the Padres have created real separation in the wild card race. They're 4 games up on a playoff spot right now. 4 games. That's a lot this time of year. And I just told you 3.5. I'm not overly concerned with it. It can be overcome. That's still true. But you have more wiggle room with the wild card than you do potentially. Like, one team's going to win the division. 3 teams are going to make the wild card. So it's not like if you get passed by Atlanta, you're out. Or if you get passed by Arizona, you're out. Or if you get passed by the New York Mets or even the Cardinals, you're out. It has to be 3 of those teams passing you, right? Not just Arizona passing you, not just Atlanta passing you, not just the Mets. Like, it's got to be 3 teams passing you for you to be on the outside looking in. I'll take that 4-game advantage right now, knowing that they've played, 119 games, 43 games to play, plus 4 in the wild card, where multiple teams are going to be in the wild card, are going to be in the postseason as a wild card in 2024. I'll take my chances there. How could you not take your chances there? I mean, it's been back and forth, never more than, a game in position or 2 games out. And now all of a sudden it's 4 games, even with today's loss. I think you feel good if you're a Padres fan, because how can you not? They're 16-2 over an 18-game stretch. They're 16-4 in the second half. I think I have that right. Lost the first game in Cleveland, lost today in Miami, and sandwiched between that 16-2 over an 18-game stretch, and getting the contributions from the Merills and the defense from Machado, and now Luis Arraez coming to life here the last couple of days. David Peralta off your bench. Donovan Solano, yesterday with or was that today? Today with the home run, the pinch hit home run. I think he's 5 for 10 as a pinch hitter this year. I mean, they're just getting contributions everywhere. Their bullpen is elite. Their rotation is more than good enough. And they have the makings of a team that, A, should make the postseason, and B, has the ability to do damage once they're in. That's how I feel about them on this 11th day of August, 2024. All right, back to the Super Chats and the conversation. Tim, I appreciate you. He says, I hope the honeymoon was worth it, Jim. We're not doomed for a 16 out of 18 losing streak. Can you imagine? I mean, this is all on Jim. It really is. How selfish of him to come back from Europe. He could have just stayed there until November. Like, he could have. You don't want to risk it. Like, no joke, guys. Jim goes away for 7 days. The Padres were 7-0. Like, that actually happened. They lost last Friday night, like a week ago Friday, to Colorado at home. And everyone was panicking on the wrap-up show. Oh, you can't lose to Colorado. Woe is me. Here we go again. And if you watch that show back, I was really measured and said, guys, their trajectory is really good. And if they win the series, they're fine. And they won the series. So, but same thing here with Miami. Yes, I know everyone wants them to sweep. Yes, they've never had a 6-0 road trip in the history of the franchise. 5-1 trip's a 5-1 trip. Like, you can't kick that out of bed. You got to be able to put things in perspective, because if you keep winning series, you're putting pressure on. Trust me. And you're creating separation with teams that are behind you. And you could, close the gap too, potentially, with teams in front of you like LA and others, in the National League as well. But they go 7-0 from that Friday night loss to Colorado. He leaves Saturday morning. They win Saturday night. And then 6 more wins. And then he's literally flying over the United States back from Milan, Italy this afternoon. And the Padres lose on the play that they lost on. So I don't think it's too far of a reach to blame it on Jim. Does anyone think that's too much of a reach to blame it on Jim? And basically anything that goes wrong from this point forward is on Jim. Anything that goes good, we're taking credit for. Everyone watching, me, we'll take credit for that. Anything that goes wrong, at Jim Russell SD. In fact, you can tweet him right now because maybe this is the first you're aware of his travels or you haven't been using social media over the last week. Get on X right now, tag him at Jim Russell SD and blame him. Hold him accountable. Hold those feet to the fire. He holds everyone's feet to the fire, right? What did we hear earlier in the year? Man, he's got to do more. What about the way Mike Schill talks to the media? Is AJ Preller the right guy for the job? Okay, hold his feet to the fire at Jim Russell SD on social media. All right, we're going to get back to the conversation in a moment. Guys, if you're here, please subscribe here on Content for Padres fans. We are here for you on this Sunday night. I think we're within 19 subscribers of 6,800. Can we do it live here tonight? If so, greatly appreciate it. We can extend out the show a little bit too if we get to 6,800 while we are here live tonight. So if you're here right now, please subscribe. I know a number of you are. Please tell other people about the channel. Please find us on Discord, by the way. Click the link in the description down below. The Padres conversation continues after the wrap-up show on Discord with our wrap-up show community. So join us there or click the link that's pinned in the live chat right now. Also, please support our title sponsor, Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance. Whatever your insurance need is, Mark is there for you. He's been on the wrap-up show. We started the channel, I want to say 36 or 37 months ago. And we've been here basically day in and day out, right, for 37 months. Some of you have been here since then. Others have gotten here tonight, and some of you somewhere in between. Some of you have been with us since the radio days of the wrap-up show, which dates back to June of 2020, I think the radio edition of the wrap-up show. So we're 5 seasons in on this. And Mark's been with us since day one on YouTube. We never start the channel without Mark. I think it's as simple as that. So if you support the channel, please support Mark Nimitz with your insurance needs. Maybe you have a renewal coming up. Call Mark before you renew. He's going to save you money. And he's a great insurance agent. How do we know? I've got homeowners, life insurance, and earthquake insurance through Mark, and you should as well. He's going to save you $750 or more. If you ever have to file a claim, he's there for you. He was there for my family. When we did it in 2022, we were out of our home for 2 weeks. He took care of everything, found us a place to live in North County. It was spectacular. He saved us so much time and money. So you can click the link in the description down below to get to his website. He'll give you a free quote online or free quotes by calling him. He'll talk to you about the Padres as well. Native San Diegan, lifelong Padres fan, day one supporter of the wrap-up show. If you support our channel, please support Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance. Click that link in the description down below. All right, back with you here tonight on the wrap-up shows. The Padres fall 7-6 to the Miami Marlins down in South Florida. Still win the series on the back of, Jackson Merill yesterday, and just finding ways. These games have all run together for me. I did a wrap-up show Friday night. I have no clue how they won Friday night. Can someone please remind me how they won Friday night? I know it was dramatic. At least in my head it was. I have no clue how they won because they've had so many moments. Like I'm looking back now on my phone. Was it dramatic or not? No, yeah, it was. They won in the 10th. They tied it up in the 9th inning with Merill. I mean, that's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Merill in the 9th inning on Friday. Merill in the 8th inning on Saturday. And then today, Ha-Seong Kim within an inch of a game-tying home run in the 9th inning. So it's like every single night there's been something. And it doesn't matter who the opponent is. People are going to tell me it's Miami, you got to sweep them. No, you don't. It doesn't work like that. Because there's good teams that lose series to bad teams. The Padres are included in that. They've lost series to the Rockies and the Angels. They lost a series to the Mets when the Mets weren't playing well in the first half of the season. I think one of the biggest differences right now with the Padres is they aren't losing series to teams that aren't very good. They're winning those series, and some of them they're even sweeping, like Pittsburgh this past week at PNC Park. So the weekend was, everything is just a complete blur. It's like there's so much adrenaline. You'd think a lot is coming out of this team. The bullpen has been taxed clearly. They've made a number of moves over the last 3 or 4 days. It feels like they've been playing catch up ever since the damn rain to start the road trip in Pittsburgh, doesn't it? Because they start a game, Dylan Cease goes 1 inning, and the bullpen goes 8. And from that moment on, they've had to reinvent the wheel, so to speak, with their bullpen because you got guys like Robert Suarez pitching 3 out of every 4 games, or Tanner Scott throwing 4 times in 5 days. Like you're taxing. I think it's fair. And again, if you're winning games, you're completely content with doing it. But at some point, you're going to need to allow your bullpen to get a blow. And I don't know when that's coming because tomorrow Joe Musgrove is pitching, and that has nothing to do with Joe. It has everything to do with his pitch count. The last time he pitched was on a rehab start. He threw 43 pitches. So I'd be surprised if they really pushed it with Joe. I think 70 pitches would be well beyond what I would expect from Musgrove tomorrow. So that's the extreme, the that's the extreme, I think, of his pitch count tomorrow. I would guess it's more like 60. That's my guess. I mean, maybe veteran pitcher who knows his body, and because of the situation with their bullpen, they'd give him another 10 or 15 pitches. But even at 70, 75, you'd be praying for 5 innings. I think if you're the Padres heading into tomorrow, you're thinking about maybe you're praying for 4 innings out of Joe Musgrove. And certainly you're not getting more than 5 innings. So it's like every night they've been relying on the same bodies, right? And they've made some moves, right? Like Sean Reynolds is up right now. And we've seen Johnny Brito up, and we've seen Alec Jacob down. So they've had to make some moves to compensate for the amount of usage that their bullpen has taken here over the last 5 or 6 days. I just fear that it's kind of caught up to them, and they're paying the price for that a little bit. Like you look at some of the scores on this road trip, for example, like, they won a game 9-8. They won a game 7-6. They won another game 9-8. They lost a game today 7-6. It's not like the pitching has been perfect here over the last week, but you can look the other way because the offense has been spectacular, and they've won 5 of their last 6 games, on this trip. But if there's any concern for me heading into this Pittsburgh home series, you're not seeing Paul Skeens. Pittsburgh is really reeling, so to speak, and you should win this series. But again, Joe Musgrove, we don't know what you're going to get out of Joe. The bullpen, it's concerning, not because of, it's one of the better bullpens in baseball. It's just concerning because you keep leaning on them, and your next off day is Thursday, which is good. So if someone in there can give you 7+ innings and then you get an off day, you start feeling better because you can give guys multiple days off in a row. You can keep guys down for a day or 2 or 3, and I think that's going to be beneficial. But like, they're in a stretch that reminds me a lot of something they were dealing with. Was it May or June, where they're like, there's no off days. Remember, they benefited from all those off days, and they'll get them again, by the way, in September. Looking right now, there's something like 5 or 6 off days in September, which is good. That's all they need. But from now, where it's 9 games in 9 days, Pittsburgh, Miami, back home for Pittsburgh. Yes, you get Thursday off, but then you've got, I'm trying to count here, 6, 10, 14, 17, 18 straight before an off day during a series against Detroit for whatever reason. They play a game against Detroit, there's an off day, and then 2 more games. I have no idea the reason for that. And I think my buddy Jason Minetti, who calls games for the Tigers, maybe told me, but I've forgotten the reason for that. So if someone knows it, let me know. And it might actually have to do with the union rule of how many consecutive days you can play without an off day unless there's rain. It may have to do with that you can't play more consecutive days without an off day right now in the major leagues. That's my guess on why an off day is put in there. I could be wrong. That's speculation, but that's my guess. But my point is, like, we've talked about Cease and Waldron and King. Like, you're going to be counting on those guys to give you the 6+ innings when they're out there, which maybe is asking a lot. Waldron's never been, asked to work this type of workload, right? Because he's a young pitcher at the major league level. Michael King, same thing. He's never had this type of workload. Now Dylan Cease has. And then from there, you're hoping guys like Martin Perez, Joe Musgrove, maybe you get Yu Darvish. Like, you're just trying to piecemeal it all together. I think you get to September, you'll figure it out. They'll have, like I said, 5 or 6 off days there over the final 25 games. I think you're fine once you get to September. You just got to kind of navigate it. To me, it's not about surviving it. Like, this team has clearly proven that they're capable of winning at a high level, that even by playing 18 consecutive games, that doesn't mean they're going to be going in the tank and they can't overcome that. I think they clearly can, and they find ways to win. They've proven that to us over the last 20 days or so, even beyond that. But if there's something that could throw them off course, if there's something that I'm probably beyond slightly concerned about, it's that you're asking a lot out of your bullpen right now. And I don't think that really lets up until essentially the 1st of September, somewhere in there around the 1st of September. So that's kind of my 30,000 foot view on, where they are. I think other things shape up really nicely. Like, yes, you're playing a lot of games, but the truth is you're playing games against teams that you're better than. And that's the case with most teams right now because the Padres are better than most teams in the majors. But like Pittsburgh and Colorado coming up, you still have, I'm looking at this schedule, you still have Tampa, Detroit, San Francisco multiple times, the White Sox on your schedule. So again, I'm not saying it's a walk in the park or it's the easiest thing. You also have series against teams like the Mets and the Cardinals and the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks. But it's not like an absurd number of games against those teams. For as many games as you have against good teams, you have an equal number of games, if not more, against quote unquote bad teams. And the truth is they've done a lot of their damage against both good and bad teams, quote unquote, right? Because when they went 7-2 on that road trip, Cleveland and Baltimore, very good teams. when they go 5-1 on this road trip. Okay, they're playing a couple of teams that are now under 500. Obviously, Miami's sold off parts; they're well under 500. And then you have, Pittsburgh, was kind of hanging around in that wild card race until a week ago when the Padres swept them, and now the Dodgers swept them as well. Their season's over, and at some point, Paul Skeens will be shut down. Trust me on that. The only reason they wouldn't is to try to, carve out a lane for him to win Rookie of the Year, which is insanity. So Skeens will be shut down at some point in September, and the Padres have eliminated now 2 teams from the wild card race essentially this year in the Washington Nationals and the Pittsburgh Pirates. And we'll see. Pittsburgh will be here again Monday night, 6:40. It's going to be like a playoff atmosphere. I've been saying that here recently over the last couple of wrap-up shows. I think you get back home doing all this work, and you turn to Joe Musgrove, the San Diego kid, who's meant so much to this organization over the last handful of years, and he's back on the mound, and the team is back home playing this incredible baseball, and the division is within reach, and the postseason is within reach. And they haven't played a lot at home. This is just a 3-game homestand, and they're back on the road in Colorado before coming home for Minnesota and the Mets. So I think it's going to be some incredible atmospheres Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at Petco Park. And of course, we've got you covered tomorrow on John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. Hopefully you can join us at 3 p.m. either on our YouTube channel or San Diego Sports 760 or on the iHeartRadio app. And then, of course, tomorrow night on the wrap-up show as well. So I think, again, don't lose sight of the way the team is playing. Don't lose sight of the overall goals here. And again, make sure you can see the forest through the trees. This loss does nothing, in my opinion, on its face or alone to slow the momentum of the Padres or change the way that they're playing. Some of the other things I'm talking about, like playing all these games without off days and using your bullpen a lot, yeah, those are real. That's a real tangible impact potentially on the team. But what happened here today, I give them credit for coming back the way they did. They trailed 5-0 in this game. All of a sudden, it's 5-4, tying run at second with 1 out, the 6th or 7th inning. They don't come through there. Then there's a 2-run home run from the Marlins, but then Solano brings you back to within 1 with his own 2-run home run. And then you got Kim there with 2 outs in the 9th. I mean, this team has a flair for the dramatic, and that's putting it lightly. This is the most clutch team in Major League Baseball right now, and probably the most clutch team in Major League Baseball in 2024. We've all been witnesses to that. All these incredible comebacks, the walk-off wins at home, improbable moments, and late rallies, and multiple run come from behind wins. So that's who the Padres have been. I think it's still who they are, despite what happened here today. I think likely, I think I gave you a decent synopsis from my, seat earlier, like a 3-minute synopsis on how I saw that ball that Kim hit. And, I don't know how deep in the weeds you really want to go with it. Again, I truly believe at the end of the day, the truth is, by the letter of the rule, they probably got it right. In fact, I saw the statement from Major League Baseball Replay, which is a fascinating place. I'm probably one of the only people in the world to have actually worked in the same building as Major League Baseball Replay, because it was in 2014. I was doing voiceovers for Major League Baseball in 2014 in New York. It was a bizarre year. I was working in the minors and voicing games in New York City when the team was on the road because I wasn't traveling in 2014. And so anyway, where I was doing the voice work, which is in Chelsea, what's it called? Chelsea Market in New York City. Some of you have probably been there, kind of a bit of a tourist trap in Lower Manhattan. And, with all this food on the lower level, all these food establishments. And then you go upstairs and it's Major League Baseball's offices. They have replay there. They have MLBAM, Major League Baseball Advanced Media, digital and social media, which was taking off at that point. Now it's probably a huge part of the operation. I don't even know if they've stretched it out from Chelsea, but my year of voicing games, doing voiceovers for Major League Baseball games, was the same year they introduced replay officially to Major League Baseball, which meant there were all these delays and stoppages. But anyway, where I was voicing, like I'm in my kitchen right now, or my dining room kitchen, right off my kitchen. And I was voicing in a studio, like a little closet, like a closet on one of these levels in Chelsea Market. And across from my closet, I could see into MLB Replay. It was this huge, vast, space that they had carved out for the advent or the introduction of replay. And it looked like a spaceship, essentially. And they've been using that space. I believe it's the exact same space for the last 10 years. They probably re-outfitted it over the years, and they've got it down to more of a science than they did when it launched in 2014. Anyway, it's a long way of me saying, listen, a lot of times with MLB replay, I don't agree with the calls, and sometimes you don't get full statements either that make any sense. I thought today's statement, it's a long way of me saying, I thought today's statement that came out of that replay office actually made sense. They said the ball hit the wall and changed direction. Because it changed direction once it hit the fielder, that made it the ground rule double, not the home run. If the ball never changed direction, as in if it bounced on top of the wall and continued over the wall and the fielder kind of swiped at it as it's still going over the wall and got a piece of it, it would have been a home run. The way MLB saw it, and I saw the replay, and it's hard to argue that the ball didn't change direction. I mean, to each their own, but it hits the wall, it heads back to the fielder hits it over the wall. Again, for me, it's a stupid rule. The ball never hit the ground. Let's be honest, it's a home run, right? Like I said, it's like, just like speeding, you're technically speeding going 66. It's not speeding. The ball went over the wall. It might not technically be a home run. It's a home run because we've all watched a home run a million times. It looked like a home run to me, looked like a home run to the Padres, Don Orsillo, Jesse Agler. Everyone watched it on TV. The fact that we got to go frame by frame to break this stupid thing down to determine that it's actually a whatever, the ball's not in play anymore and yada, yada, yada is utter insanity to me. But again, by the letter of the law, by the rule of the rule, and baseball's got a lot of stupid rules, and I have followed this game as close as most over the last 20 or 30 years. It's very baseball for that to happen, and it's very replay for that to happen because the Padres have been burned by replay a million times over the last 10 years. They've been burned by it numerous times here in 2024, and they've never been burned more than they were here today with 2 outs of the 9th inning with a chance to extend out their winning streak to 8 games and finish off their first ever 6-0 road trip. I mean, come on. Again, watching it in real time, live, it's a home run. They review it, and just kidding. John, appreciate you, man. Thank you for the very generous super. Guys, if you are here, we appreciate John. We appreciate the super chat. So would love it if you weigh in. If you want to support the channel, click the $ below the chat box. I've been telling you about our subscribers. We're 19 subscribers away from 6,800. If you're here right now for a first time, or if you've never subscribed, if you're looking for more year-round Padres content, the home of real Padres talk, if you wouldn't mind subscribing, we greatly appreciate it. We've got to blow past 7,000 this season, and we're well on our way because of you. John, appreciate it, man. He says, the best thing that happened is the Braves and Mets lost today. A great road trip from this team. Losing is part of the season, but one stupid loss doesn't discount the amazing play that is happening. We will get hot again. That's a great way to look at it, John. I agree with you. I completely agree with you. I think that's the right perspective on where they are today. Like, this thing would be super frustrating if you lost that rain delay game in Pittsburgh and you didn't have Merill magic the last couple of days. And, maybe it's a 3-3 trip, which isn't the end of the world, but you were hoping for a little more. Maybe you're thinking going into it 4-2, 5-1 because of the way they're playing. And you said wasted opportunities and they didn't play great teams and they let Pittsburgh hang around and you got to do better than they did against the Marlins, like in that theoretical, right? But that's not what happened. And to John's point, the best teams in baseball over the course of a year are winning something like 60% of the time, because when you win 60% of the time, what is that? That's, I don't know how many wins that is. Someone can do the math on it. But, between 90 and 100 wins, is that accurate? 60 and 40 through 100. So 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36. That's 96. I think that's 96 and 66, somewhere in that neighborhood. Might be off by a game, but it's somewhere in 96 and 66 range. That's my point. Like, really good teams, maybe not great. I mean, there's great teams that can win, to 615 clip, 630 clip, right? Something like that. Those are great teams. But the point is, teams lose. Great teams lose 38% of the time. Really good teams, some of the best teams in Padres history, are losing 40% of the time, because even the 98 team only won 98 games. That's the most wins in the history of the franchise. They weren't winning at a 650 clip, and they won 98 games. So take it in stride. Teams lose games, even really good teams, even great teams. And yeah, you put it in in perspective of where they are right now in the wild card standings, even where they are in the division, and just their overall play over the last month plus. And it's very hard to be critical of the way that they've played here recently, including this weekend in Miami, because 2 out of 3 against any team on the road is not a bad thing. Again, are we all thinking sweep? Of course we are. After Merill in the 9th on Friday, after Merill in the 8th on Saturday, am I thinking sweep today? Yeah. Dylan Cease opposite whoever the hell they were throwing, who had allowed 13 runs in his last 13 innings. Yeah, I'm thinking sweep. Absolutely. But it's baseball. It doesn't work like that. Like, we like to think it works like that. It doesn't always work the way we think. And it's very humbling, especially if you're a Padres fan, right? We've been riding that roller coaster. I'm not talking about 2024. I'm talking about historically. They've been on a roller coaster. And that's what this sport is. Just when you think you've got it figured it out, it's got an amazing way of humbling you. See if that happens to the Padres in 2024 or not. I still like all the trend lines, so to speak, with the Padres here in 2024. All right, we're going to get back to the conversation. Appreciate you guys. Please subscribe, and thank you for the super chats. Click the $ below the chat box like our buddy John Fields just did. And thank you, John, again, for your support of the channel. I do want to remind our viewers about our friends at MOA Globes. These officially licensed globes are now available, and if you use promo code PWS10, you're going to get 10% off. This company and this technology, founded right here in San Diego in North County, Cardiff by the Sea, they have all 30 teams officially licensed in Major League Baseball, including the Padres. These globes spin automatically with artificial and natural light. It's a thing of beauty, honestly. You just have them out on your kitchen table, and the light shines in, and they're spinning all day long. You turn the lights on in your home at night, they're spinning there as well. They're spectacular. No cords, no wires. Great keepsakes, gifts. Great for the home office, the work office. Your kids are going to love them. My wife thinks they're spectacular. I think it's a great educational tool, especially the planet and like Earth globes as well. If you want 10% off, if you want to support a San Diego company, use promo code PWS10. That is PWS10. You can click that link in the description down below to get 10% off. Maybe you're a Padres fan, pick one of these up. Maybe your brother-in-law is a Cubs fan. They've got all 30 Major League Baseball teams plus so much more. You should really check out the website. It's super cool. You can learn more about the technology, which I don't fully understand, but is really spectacular technology. So again, if you want to support the channel, if you want 10% off, we got a special offer for you right now. Use promo code PWS10 by clicking that link in the description down below. Again, promo code PWS10. Click that link in the description down below. No, I wish I could. I'm sorry. T. Kelly says, can you juggle, John? Let's see it. If I could, I wouldn't do it with these globes. And look at this from Michael, who works over at MOA Globes. It says, shout out to whoever bought a Padres globe this weekend. How cool is that? So, guys, I mean, look at these things. Seriously. Look. My camera's trying to focus on it, but look at that. I mean, your kids are going to love these things. You're going to love it. They're really, really cool. Like, I didn't know how cool they'd be until Michael sent them to us. Honestly, I don't think it does it justice just seeing it on the website. You need to see some of their videos. You need to see me hold it to just see how unique of a product this is. Like, these things are special. So make sure to check them out before they're gone. Use promo code PWS10 and get 10% off your order at MOA Globes. Thank you, Michael, for your support of the channel. Thank you guys who have been purchasing and checking them out by clicking that link in the description down below. Yeah, listen, I'm very excited for tomorrow. I'm very excited for the way this team is playing, and I'm not going to let today get in the way of that. I'm even excited about the way they rallied today, which is who they are. Like, the DNA of this team is a team that is never out. It just feels like that, and I don't even think it's cliche. Of course, there are examples in the first 119 games of the year where they didn't threaten or challenge and lost by 5 or 6 runs, but there's not a million examples of it. Not a million. And there are also examples of when they went down 5-0 like today, that they made a game of it and nearly pulled it out. Or a game like the Chicago Cubs the first month of the season, maybe the first 2 weeks of the season, they went down 8-0 and won a game. It feels like forever ago. I think Fernando Tatis Jr. hit 2 home runs in that game. But like, that to me is who they are. They're a team full of belief right now. Like, they truly believe that they're in every single game. They get productivity everywhere from their bench. Guys like Solano and Peralta, from the guys like Xander Bogaerts, who's returned and played well. Let's hope on Tatis. I think, again, the difference for me between this team being, having a chance to make a deep run and having a really good chance of making a deep run is if they can get all of the health situations worked out. If you truly get Fernando Tatis Jr. back healthy, that gives you how much of a better chance at the postseason. I think it's significant. Do we remember the 2020 postseason when he hit 2 home runs in a game against the Cardinals? If you get Joe Musgrove back and he's able to work up to, 6+ innings, 100+ pitches per outing, and if he's able to give you that 3-type ERA over a 4 or 5 start stretch in September, heading into October, again, I just think he lifts your ceiling. If you get Yu Darvish back, I just think he lifts your ceiling. Now, we get it. It's professional sports. Injuries happen. It's not to say they'll get everyone back and everyone's going to be fully healthy heading into October, assuming they make the postseason. But again, as good as this has been recently, where they're pulling rabbits out of their hat left and right, and they're never out of games, and they're playing some of the best baseball in the majors, I think to give them even a better shot is go finish off this roster with Fernando Tatis Jr. and Joe Musgrove. You get those two players back healthy, and you complement the roster with them. And I think you've got a chance to do something pretty special, whether it's here to finish off the regular season, vying with the Dodgers in the National League West, or in the postseason. Now, always with the caveat of best of 3 or 5 or even 7-game series. Don't leave a ton of margin, and aren't always the perfect indicator for the season or who's better, who's worse. But it is what it is. It's how we judge and crown a champion, obviously, in Major League Baseball. But again, we've talked about it a lot. We've detailed it at length. Good frontline starting pitching, spectacular back end to the bullpen. Am I concerned about Jeremiah Estrada? Yeah, probably. And then just a pesky lineup that gets it done 1 through 9. So it has the makings of a team that can win, not just now, but in the postseason. And I don't know if we can say that about every team, to be honest with you. I think there's other teams that say, well, you know what? They got good starting pitching, but their bullpen has been a sieve. Or this team's got bad starting pitching, but a good bullpen. Or this team can only win with pitching. Or this team can only win with offense. That's not the Padres. I think they're a pretty well-balanced team. And by pretty, I mean, I think they're a very well-balanced team, truthfully. And I think that carries weight and has value, not just right now, but in the postseason as well. Got to get there. They're trending towards the postseason. So much baseball to be played. A 4-game lead can be erased, although a 4-game lead in the wild card can be stretched out to 8 games too. And hopefully they do that. I think you get that thing up to 7, 8 games, and you're in September, and you're going to be thinking more about the division and your postseason rotation. Then you're going to be thinking about the day in, day out grind of like, man, we need to win today to keep pace with whomever in the wild card, or we need to stay 3 games up in the wild card. I mean, once you get to like 7 games up in the wild card, if they do that, you know, the Zips projections and the fan graphs and all these sites are going to, you know, your chances of making the postseason are going to rise significantly. And already right now, if you looked at it from a sheer statistical perspective, the Padres have a very good chance of reaching the postseason. Not a guarantee, and even a 9 and 10 shot means 10% of the time you're not going to make it. So I don't know where they are right now. So somewhere probably between 75 and 80% chance of making the postseason would be my guess, statistically, which again are good odds, but don't guarantee you anything. As I always tell Jim, it's not like you're getting on a plane that has a 75% chance of landing, let alone a 95% chance of landing. But again, I think from a sporting perspective, you start getting up to 75, 80%, you like your chances. You start getting up to 90%, you love your chances. And hopefully that's where they're heading. Into September, and we're thinking more about the postseason than we are, hey, final 6 games of the year, they're a game up. They're going to have to go 4-2 here against LA and Arizona to make the postseason. Like, I hope that we can avoid that final 6-game stretch, which is a tricky one. Arizona and LA. I hope that isn't impactful for a wild card. I hope it's impactful for a division. Like, the Padres aren't going to have won the division with 6 games to play. We all agree on that. But what if with 6 games to play, they've got Arizona and LA, then they're 1 up, or they're 1.5 back, and you're playing the teams that are right there, and you win 2 out of 3 against Arizona, you win 2 out of 3 against LA, and you've won the division. Can you imagine that? I think we'd all sign up for that right now. So that's what I'm hoping for with September. Get this team healthier, stretch this wild card thing out, vie for the division, and don't worry with 5 games to play about getting in. Hopefully they'll have wrapped it up or have that 99% chance of making it with 6 games to play. Something like 6 up with 6 to play, you're making the postseason. 5 up with 5 to play, you're making the postseason. From there, it starts getting, 4 up with 4 to play, you're making the postseason with 99% regularity. Beyond that, it starts getting tricky. I just hope they can kind of trend in that direction as we get into early to mid-September, and they've got hopefully 6, 7 games on that last wild card, and you feel good about them being in the postseason, because we can't get there yet. Nobody's going to say right now, let's go get playoff tickets. We're 100% in. Things change. They've had 4 or 5-game losing streaks this year, 4 of them. So we don't want to see a 5th. I said, even during this winning streak, are they likely to lose consecutive games again this year? Yeah, because every team likely loses consecutive games over 1/4 of the season, right? That's just the way this sport is. So they're going to have to overcome something like that, just like the other 29 teams are going to have to overcome losing a couple games in a row at some point here in August or September. All right, we can get back to the conversation in a moment. Doing a reminder of viewers about our friends at Underdog Fantasy with NFL Week 1 discounts going on right now. If you use promo code PODSWRAP, that's PADSWRAP. Again, promo code PODSWRAP, that's PADSWRAP. They've got NFL Week 1 discounts going on right now. You get a free special pick, by the way, just for using promo code PODSWRAP, PADSWRAP. Plus, you get a 50% deposit match up to $250 free dollars, and they're giving you these discounts. So consider this. You sign up right now. Anthony Richardson is throwing for more than 183.5 passing yards week 1, right? CJ Stroud is throwing for more than 247.5 passing yards in week 1, right? Jonathan Taylor is going to run for 60 yards week 1, right? Stephon Diggs is going to catch 49 yards worth of balls in week 1, right? They're giving you discounts. They're giving you winners. They're giving you free money. Sign up right now. It's so simple and easy. You can play Padres pick'ems each and every day, including on Mondays, the Padres play the Pirates. Do it right now. Make sure to use promo code PODSWRAP. You see it on the screen right now. Promo code PODSWRAP. Free special pick up to $250 for first-time deposits as well with that 50% deposit match. Sign up, click the link in the description down below, or scan that QR code that is right there. See that QR code? Or click down there. And while you're clicking down there, please subscribe. Home of Real Padres Talk as you click down there. And again, I told you about Discord. A number of you are in there. We've got over 100 people that have signed up in the first couple of weeks. It's free. If you're looking for more Padres discussion, join us on Discord. Click the link in the description down below or the link that's pinned at the top of the live chat. And the Padres discussion continues after the wrap-up show, beforehand as well, during the wrap-up show on John and Jim. I think there's about 105 or so members right now of our Discord server in less than 1 month. So a really good, active, healthy community. We'll probably get that thing up to 200, 300, 400 later on here in 2024, hopefully, if this team makes the postseason. So if you want to continue that conversation during games, after games with other community members of the wrap-up show, you can do so right now. Click that link in the description down below. What else okay, I'll give you something else from today. What about the little back and forth after the Cronenworth slide? All right, let me just take a sip of this. Is anyone else addicted to Celsius? Can someone put in the chat, have you ever had Celsius or not? Let us know in the chat right now. Live or on replay, put it in the comments if you're here on replay. Like, is there something like addictive in this? Like, I'm serious when I ask that. Because I'm addicted to them, which probably isn't good. Like, there's caffeine in this. I should not be drinking this at night. But when you have a 5-year-old and you are on your feet for 12 consecutive hours all day long, and then you do a wrap-up show at 9:30 that same night, and then you wake up with your 5-year-old, and then you go to work, and then you do a wrap-up show that next night, you need these, is my point. Was my pinky like this? Long day. All right, let me get to JD Gaucho here. Dude, I do. It's a problem. But the thing is, caffeine doesn't impact my sleep. It's very weird. It's very weird. Should we let Jim back in the channel, by the way? I want to talk about the Cronenworth and then Profar and how that played out in a moment. And I will, but let me get to the super from JD Gaucho. Thank you, man. He says, Jeff Passan said, I saw this today on X that MLB needs to let its players compete in the Olympics if baseball is added in 2028. Follow the NBA's lead. Yeah, I agree. Here's the thing. WBC has been successful, no doubt. It's gained popularity. It's absolutely successful right now on the international scale. My concern would be, you're going to stop baseball, Major League Baseball, in the summer of 2028, or will you continue to play and just use major leaguers and then supplement rosters of the major leagues with minor leaguers? My guess is you're going to shut down Major League Baseball. You're going to shut down Major League Baseball for 16 days because a baseball tournament's not playing out in 7 days. You don't do group play. And then, I would think it would play out in a minimum of like 10 days, but you got to get to camps. Like, you're going to need to shut down the season for 14 plus days to execute on this. Well, how the hell do you do that? I mean, I guess you could no, you can't. I mean, what do you do? Eliminate the All-Star break in 2028? That saves you 4 days, and then you add another, 8 days on. How do you shut down a Major League Baseball season for 14 days? Again, in theory, I like the idea of it, just like the WBC. That's kind of out of season. Even that causes headaches and concerns. It opens camps early and gets guys hurt. I just don't know, I guess is my point. And if you let baseball in, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know what they're going to do there. I mean, baseball has not been an overly popular Olympic sport. In fact, it's been in and out of the Olympics here over the last 40 years. I think it would gain in popularity by using major leaguers, but I don't know. I really don't know what to say about it, truthfully. I know softball's in next time around. They're doing that in Oklahoma City in 2028. Yeah, I don't know what to say about it. What do you guys think? You want to see major leaguers in the Olympics? I mean, again, it's like my feelings on the WBC. I like the WBC, but I don't want to see it at the expense of Padres players getting hurt or impacting the Padres team. So I'd rather win at the major league level than win at the Olympic level, and I'd rather win at the major league level than the WBC level when it comes to baseball. Do you guys agree with that? I'm all for national pride. I've enjoyed the Olympics. I've watched a lot of it. I think it's been really compelling television. But let me ask you right now, for those that are here live or on replay, do you want to see Team USA in baseball with its group of major leaguers win a gold medal over the Padres winning World Series? 9 out of 10 of you would not say yes to that, right? I would never say yes to that. Do I want to see Manny Machado win a gold for Team USA more than him win a World Series for the Padres? No chance in hell. That's my personal opinion. So to me, it doesn't take on the same impact as the major league regular season. Not to say I wouldn't enjoy it. I just don't enjoy it. I'd much prefer watching Padres Diamondbacks on a Monday night than watching Team USA against Team Canada in baseball. I don't know if anyone agrees or disagrees with that, but that's how I've always felt. Again, it's not to say that I wouldn't enjoy it. I just enjoy it to a lesser degree than I enjoy watching Major League Baseball. So again, and also, by the way, JD Gaucho, my last point on this is, listen, in theory, great, snap your fingers. We've got these major league players across rosters, and we're watching, Canadians and Americans and Japanese and whomever else, right? Dominican. I mean, again, is that going to draw massive ratings? Let's be honest. WBC has a niche. It draws maybe decent ratings. I don't know, 1 million, 2 million viewers for some of these games. If the Netherlands plays the Dominican in group play of Olympic baseball, and there's a lot of major leaguers on these teams, is it really going to rate what 1 million people are going to watch? 1.5? So again, it's not Olympic basketball. 20 million people watch the gold medal game between USA and France. If Team USA played Team Dominican Republic in the gold medal game of baseball, you're not touching a tenth of that probably. I mean, how many viewers are watching? 3 million? I don't know how many people watch the WBC finals. Maybe it's more than that, but again, I just think it's a tricky conversation, truthfully. And it's probably why they haven't committed to major leaguers as of yet, and we're 4 years out. That's how I look at it. Let's see here. JD Gaucho follows up. Our lineup in Paris could have been Merill, Mookie, and Judge in the outfield if Alonso. Yeah, I mean, listen, that's great. I hear you. And the value, you know what I mean? What's the value? So, Team USA wins a gold medal in Olympic baseball. There wasn't even Olympic baseball this time around. And other Olympic baseball golds are with amateurs or with under a certain age, right? Maybe some professional. I don't even know how the Olympic baseball rosters have been consummated, so to speak, over the last 20 years. I think with a lot of professional players that are in the minor leagues historically that are under a certain age. So again, I just don't think it has the same glitz and glamour as some of these other sports that have been held every Olympic game for the last 80 years. Olympic basketball has been going on for a long time. Olympic soccer has been going on for a long time. Olympic baseball, it's here 1 year, it's gone the next. Right? It just doesn't have the same cachet and value, in my opinion, than some of the other sports. And from the Olympic perspective, even Olympic soccer is not like World Cup soccer or international soccer. It's a different animal, is what I would say. Anyway, back to the moment from today's game where Cronenworth, I don't even know what happened. I didn't take exception with it, and I don't think that's with any bias, truthfully. Was it a late slide? Maybe. I think he was trying to get down and also avoid falling off the back of the bag, which is basically a slide violation right now. So he went down maybe late. He tried to hold on to the bag. I didn't think he went in spikes up. And whoever the middle infielder was, the shortstop or the second baseman, like took clear exception to it. And Cronenworth immediately tried to diffuse the situation. Like his hands are out. It's like, I wasn't trying to do what you think I was trying to do. I'm trying to stop my momentum. I'm trying to get down. They completed, I want to say, the double play there. He's like, I wasn't trying to do what you thought I was trying to do. Tim Leeper got in there, third base coach, kind of diffused it. It was all diffusing. Now we're between half innings, and here comes Profar out to left, and they're still having this conversation, and Profar takes exception with it, which I kind of love, because Profar and this team has fed off this type of, like slights. These slights have really motivated the Padres. Shoot, it might have motivated them here today. I mean, they came within an inch of potentially winning the game. But, I mean, come on, Miami. You're 30 games under 500. You just lost the first two games of the series. And what do you think here? You think Jake Cronenworth's trying to be dirty in this moment for what? You think he's taking a shot at you? You think he's going to go spikes up because like this is the big moment he's going to define his season by? They need to do that. I mean, they're winning by playing dirty. No, that's not what they're doing. They don't do any of this. They don't retaliate. They've seemingly played the right way, and they've done their speaking by winning. So I just thought, Miami's young. Miami's traded off all these parts. They're a weird roster. It's a very weird roster. They got a couple of hitters in that lineup I like a lot, truthfully. They might be good in the future. I think they made some trades that give them a chance to be good in, I don't know, name the year 2026 would probably be the earliest. They've had a little bit of success here this decade. They've got a first-year GM. I just think it's a weird roster. I think the whole thing is weird. The ballpark's bizarre. Nobody's there even on the weekend. Anyone that is there is a Padres fan. Again, never take for granted the support that the Padres get in San Diego. It could be Miami. It could be Pittsburgh. Shoot, it could be Baltimore. Baltimore doesn't draw near as well as San Diego, and they're one of the best teams in the American League. So, I don't know what the hell Miami was thinking. I could care less, truthfully. And I think that's probably what Profar was saying. Like, shut up. Like, you're taking exception with something we're doing. You should take exception with your own play, Miami. Like, hey, worry about your freaking clubhouse and dugout and your team. Don't worry about Jake Cronenworth's slide. Worry about yourself, I think is what he was saying. Interesting question here from Steven. Thank you, Steven. He says, do we retaliate? I'd almost forgotten. Profar was hit 4 times in the series, twice in that final game after getting hit and leaving game 2. Brian Reynolds was hit as well. Here's the reason I'll say no. The pitching issues the Padres are dealing with in terms of lack of available healthy arms. Not healthy, but fresh arms. I mean, it ain't happening with Joe Musgrove tomorrow. He's going to be on a 60 pitch count, and you're not going to be hitting anyone with Musgrove, and you're just trying to get him back healthy. So I don't think it happens on Monday. And then if it doesn't happen Monday, you're really going to do it in the middle of the series, like you're retaliating in the middle of a series, not to start a series. I don't think you do it off the top of a series, because what if something happens and you lose your starting pitcher, and now you got to go find 8 innings out of your bullpen? I'm not doing it, even though I think historically I'm kind of all for it. I'm all for like letting the game kind of police itself. And, if you take exception to it, which I did in real time, getting hit 4 times in a series is pretty significant, and like there should be some type of repercussion. They hit Brian Reynolds in game 3 of that series. That probably makes it over and done with. And the other thing is, like, don't give these guys, Pittsburgh, a reason to start believing again, or a reason to motivate them again. They've lost 6 straight at least, 3 to San Diego, 3 in LA, one of them in heartbreaking fashion. I think that was today, in walk-off fashion when they blew a late lead. Don't give them any life. Don't give them any hope. Don't give them a reason to rally. Just go beat them. That's my thought on it. Kind of like what I think Profar and Cronenworth were saying like today to Miami. Like, guys, we're good. You're taking exception with us? Like, okay, you go do you. Like, we're going to just try to win. And I think you do something stupid potentially in the series and it could bite you. Like, this isn't the series to get cute and then lose. You got to win this series, because when you look at how Arizona's playing and you look at how the Dodgers are capable of playing, if you want to secure a home playoff series, you got to finish as the top wild card. If you want to win the division, you have little margin for error. And the further you drop down the division means you're, fighting for one of those final wild card spots. So, long way of me saying I wouldn't retaliate, even though I get it. I understand the merits of it. I just personally wouldn't retaliate. I have absolutely no idea. I have absolutely no idea. I don't even know where the hell he is. Let's see here. So I didn't even realize he was like, okay, so he's got a 7 ERA in AAA El Paso, and was having. So was he? That's in 32 appearances. Yeah, I mean he's got a 7 ERA. He's got a 6.59 ERA, 42 and a third innings, 51 hits. Yeah, I'll tell you what's going on. He can't throw strikes. 29 strikeouts in 42 innings is really low, and 34 walks in 42 innings is really high. Here's the former. He was a high pick, right? Yeah, third round pick, 2021, college guy out of Arkansas. Some people thought he'd be up like right away, right? From Arkansas. Like he'd have a chance to be up the year he was drafted in 2021, I want to say, or 2022. I have no idea. This is the problem with pitching. It's like you can never have too much of it, and you can't draft too much or trade for it because you just don't know. So I have no idea what's up with him in actuality, other than the fact that his numbers aren't good and he's pitching in AAA. Now, sometimes numbers in AAA aren't good, and that's not a great indication on how good the player is or capable of being. But high walk total, low strikeout total, high ERA isn't overly encouraging. But thank you, Antonio. Appreciate the super chat. Really do. Anything else, guys, over, let's say, the final 5 minutes here? You can put in the chat. Doesn't have to be a super. Is there something we missed on or something that we absolutely need to react to that played out today or yesterday or will play out in the day or days ahead here against the Pirates? Let me know. And again, while you do that, a reminder to subscribe, a reminder to smash the like button, a reminder to follow me at John Schaefer on X. Reminder about the super thanks. If you're here on replay, we do appreciate those. A number of you have contributed with super thanks over the season. And a reminder about our membership. If you want custom emojis and badges, you want to support the channel, click the join button down below. Oh, he's on the IL right now. All right. Well, he's 32 appearances, 6.6 ERA. He's not coming to save the day, apparently. So thank you, Jeremiah. Appreciate that. Yeah, I haven't thought of his name since, I don't even know, 2022. We talked about him a lot for like that first year, and then he kind of, I don't know, fell off the edge of the world kind of from like a just awareness perspective, I think, to be honest with you. Yeah, we talked a little bit about this earlier, Michelle. I appreciate you hanging out. Like, I was worried about Cease because of what happened his last time out. I was worried because he threw an inning and it rained. Remember, they got him up in the bullpen last week against Pittsburgh. He throws an inning, it starts to pour. They got him up again like an hour and a half into the rain delay because the game was supposed to start again, remember, like 8:15 Eastern. And then the field wasn't ready. So he kind of like warmed up like 3 times. And then that was it for his night. And then they plugged him back in the rotation here today. And I was wondering how he like bounced back from all that. And like, to your point, he didn't bounce back very well. And he threw a lot of pitches early. I thought he was done in by, I mentioned this earlier, batting average on balls in play. Like, I thought there was some not great contact that found holes. The second inning defense was horrific. Ha-Seong Kim, again, he nearly tied the game up here today. He ran into an out today on the bases again. He made a terrible defensive play in the second inning. I mean, just a routine ground ball that eats him up. Then Luis Arraez has a ball that goes in and out of his glove. That stuff's like inexcusable. And that was the difference. Honestly, that could have been the difference between winning and losing today. But my point is, Cease wasn't necessarily helped by either luck because of batting average on balls in play or his defense because of Kim and Arraez. It forced him to throw some additional pitches as well. He gets through 5 innings. I can live with it, is my point. Like, it wasn't where he's been. Where he's been is incredible over the last 5, 6, 7 outings. I don't think it was his worst outing. He still was able to give you those 5 innings. Let's see how he bounces back from this. But no, you're right. I mean, Dylan Cease was like making a case to be a Cy Young caliber pitcher here in the second half of the season. That took a step to the side probably today, allowing those 5 runs. But I'm still very confident in him. We've seen what the possibilities are. The possibilities are the highest ceiling of any pitcher, arguably, in the National League or even in Major League Baseball. So they got to get him back to where he was. Like, now it's like 3 starts ago. He's 1 inning, and then today against Miami. So it's been a couple of starts. They got to get him back to who he was. But yeah, again, like Jeremiah said, it was 2 Ernies because of that defense in the second inning. So again, you can't put again, he's been so great that you're expecting him to like pitch 6-7 shutout innings every time out, but he was let down by his defense, 2 earned runs. So be it, is what I would say. All right, guys, join us tomorrow. San Diego Sports 760. We'll see if Jim is back. He may or may not be. I have no idea. He's technically back in San Diego, but I don't know if he's going to be soft and join us on the show tomorrow or not. He'll be here tomorrow night in the wrap-up show. Trust in that. We'll see if he's on John and Jim tomorrow at 3 p.m. on San Diego Sports 760. Please support the radio show. We really do appreciate it. We can't do the wrap-up show without the radio show, so please support it. 3 to 6, San Diego Sports 760. Also on the free iHeartRadio app. That is a great way to listen. If you're considering listening, please do it on the free iHeartRadio app. And also, we're on YouTube, where the audio can be shoddy, to be honest with you. Our YouTube channel of John and Jim, for whatever reason, we're going to get it fixed. We just haven't, for whatever reason. We've tried, but we're not sound engineers. But we're on YouTube, John and Jim 760. Search for it. Find us. We'll be talking about the Padres this weekend against Miami, looking ahead to the Pirates series that kicks off tomorrow night at 6:40. Please support our partners. Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance. He's been with us since day one. If you've got an insurance need, let him help. Click the link in the description down below. MOA Globes. You know how much we love MOA Globes. Get 10% off with promo code PWS10. That's PWS10. Click that link in the description down below. And also Underdog Fantasy. If you want a 50% deposit match, click that link in the description down below. 50% deposit match with promo code PODSWRAP. That is PADSWRAP. Antonio, before we get out of here, appreciate you with the super. He says Kimmy or Arraez next year. Well, Arraez is here. He's under control through 2025. Kim, I want to say it's a mutual option or a player option. So I think Arraez is more realistic because Arraez is under contract. So, and I'm taking Arraez because he falls out of bed hitting 300. Even with this ligament issue, he's been able to hit. So I'm taking Arraez. You know, Kim, again, is a jack of everything. He can run, he can field, he can hit. But then again, there's days like today where it's like you strike out 3 times, you have a costly error in the field, you run into an out. Yeah, he nearly had this amazing moment in the ninth inning. I mean, let's be fair. If that would have been a home run, we'd be singing his praises all night long and say, wow, you know, Ha-Seong Kim was the hero here tonight. But the answer to me is Luis Arraez. What do you guys think? Put it in the chat or put it in the comments down below. Luis Arraez or Ha-Seong Kim. Real quick. Oh yeah, thank you, Darth. Appreciate that. It is the Padres Sun cap from New Era because there's like a planet collection at New Era, and San Diego's planet is the sun, which makes sense because it's sunny and hot, and this is kind of like colors of the sun. Kind of dope, right? Billion creation in Chula. Is it Chula or IB? Down south. Picked it up. Great spot. Unbelievable spot, to be honest with you. All right, guys. We will see you tomorrow at 3 p.m. John and Jim tomorrow night on the wrap-up show. Padres follow the Marlins 7-6. Thrilling week, really. They go 5-1 on the road trip. They're back in San Diego. Joe Musgrove, the San Diego kid, Monday night at 6:40 for Swiss Jim. I'm John. This has been the wrap-up show. Thanks, guys.